Hey everyone, we are at another cemetery on Fort Sill, an army base in Lawton, Oklahoma. And this is a Comanche cemetery right here. So they have this sign right where you come up to the cemetery, and it's the Otipoby Comanche Cemetery. The blue haze of the majestic Wichita Mountains rise sharply to the west of this cemetery, which overlooks the beautiful Cache Creek Valley below. And just to show you those mountains, they are not kidding. This is one incredible view right here. And off in the distance you can hear an interstate or something with some traffic there, but way back when, this would have been pretty quiet. You can see some traffic traveling over there way off in the distance. Beautiful mountain range right there. But it says it was established by the Comanches in 1888 when they began to abandon their ancient ways of burial in rocky hills and other unmarked locations throughout the Wichita Mountains area. The Comanches were warriors of the plains and the most superb riders who ever lived. To themselves, they are the people. After the Comanches signed the Jeremy Agreement with the U.S. government in 1892, they gave up their reservation for allotment of 160 acres each. This cemetery site was owned by Hugh Otipoby, who donated it to the Comanche tribe in 1929. The United States Army purchased the land in 1942. The Otipoby Comanche Cemetery was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1977. Hugh Otipoby said of his father, Bob Otipoby, who died in 1937 and is buried here, "Many of his friends and neighbors sleep near him in this old cemetery." And this is the gate entrance into the cemetery, which we are about to enter. One of the things that I am not real keen on are all those windmills that you see off in the distance on the mountain range there. To me, it just kind of makes the scenic view not so scenic. And it was so beautiful before those ever came up, but take a look over here to the right. That old barn or house, that whatever it is right there. And it's just on that little edge, that little cliff right there. And what a view they had of the mountains over there, though. Old rustic barn about to fall down. So this says, Phil and Gladys Narcomi. In grateful appreciation for many years of dedicated service to the families of the Otipoby Cemetery, September 24th, 2005. Sort of just an etching memorial marker there. Hopefully it shows up on camera pretty decent, but he's standing there in his sort of Western attire, got kind of a Native American belt buckle and cowboy hat, and then she's standing there beside him. And there's a little hut maybe back behind her. And this is talking about the Otipoby Comanche Cemetery, First Cemetery Committee, May 1965. And Grave Site Identifying Committee. And I guess maybe it's this gate right here, but it says work donated by 3 World War veterans, Hugh Otipoby and Win Tarkupo Kanadoa and Sam Palawardi. Hopefully I'm not butchering those too bad. Do not mean to. Might have had some kind of arch or something that went up over the top of this as you enter, and it's maybe eroded away over time. Interesting little latch to the gate here. Sarah's already went inside and is looking around. There are a lot of final resting places in here. This is a little bit bigger than we expected to see, especially with the last cemetery that we were in. But immediately here is this flagpole, no flag on it, but it says in recognition of Sergeant First Class Jesse L. Lucas and the assistance of the flagpole project. Adose. Ernest Adose died January 30th, 1916, 30 years old. This is died April 1st, 1918, 65 years. To Wikweya Adose. This is interesting. It has a castle up top here, maybe representative of the kingdom. Could have possibly had a picture there at one time, or just some sort of emblem. Willie died December 1st, 1928 at age 48 years. And this is the father, Adose. This is all the Adose family plot area. Died December 8th, 1929, age 77. You can hear that flagpole kind of banging around. Bruce Kiataroko, Comanche tribe son of William and Elizabeth. It's quite a name there. A lot of the Adose, if I am even remotely saying that correctly. Here is Joseph White Bear, December 2nd, 1841 to November 15th, 1924. And then Mary White Bear, October 10th, 1846. And I don't know if she is located within this cemetery or not. I think that's just her date of birth down at the bottom. Petsche. Don't have a last name or anything, or maybe that is a last name. But died June 6, 1926, age 68 years old. Some government markers here. Quite a few government markers in here. "65 years old. Tayene Mewat. June 25th, 1912. And some unknown Comanche tribe members right through here. And different style, but some unknown Comanches right here. Let's see what this one is right over here. Surrounded by some unknown Comanches, but Le Mota, December 11th, 1911 to May 7th, 1981. KCA Tribal Chairman, 1956 to 1964, and Comanche Tribal Chairman, 1964 to 1976. And you can see at the top it says Comanche Nation. See what just catches the eye here. Here's Richard Otipoby, and born April 13th, 1913, and died October 16th, 1914. And here is infant yellowback, Comanche child of Ohau Wadidi. So Sarah just kind of pointed this out on Bob and Betty Otipoby. They lost 6 infants right here together, because that's one. There's another one right here. Richard right here with a little lamb on it. And here's another. And another. And another right there. It's quite a few that they lost. So this is Chief Tabanagnika, Sound of the Sun. And this is a Comanche Little Arkansas treaty signer, April 28th, 1893. Chief Tabanagnika was the chief of the Yamparika Comanche. His name translates into the Sound of the Sun. After the U.S. Army failed to enforce the provisions of the Medicine Lodge Treaty, which prohibited white man's entry into tribal lands, Tabanagnika was one of the notable chiefs joining Quanah Parker in raids into Texas. The purpose of the raids was to avenge the slain relatives and raid the buffalo hunters. They were wiping out their herds of buffalo for hides while leaving the carcasses to rot on the plains. He was in charge of the Comanches at the Battle of the Peace River in 1860. He was also one of the signers of the Treaty of the Little Arkansas River. And his wife is right here, born in 1850, not sure when she passed away. Niwiakia. But it's interesting because right in front of them is this big tomb right here. This is Mark Thomas Perconic, Comanche tribe son of Perconic. And a lot of that family is right here. Here we have Moraya, Tonkawa tribe, wife of Peebo Pretty Boy. This one just says son of Post Oak Jim, Comanche tribe. So this is the final resting place for Mumsuka, Comanche tribe, mother of Nawats. And then there's this little placard here, and it's very difficult to read. It's faded over time, and there's bird waste on it. But it says the first Comanche buried in the Comanche Cemetery in 1888, and that the identification was by the granddaughter Maud Totsi Blevin in 1965. And then, of course, she is located right here. She passed away January 18th, 1984, and was born January 1st, 1884. And right behind her is a marker over there. There's no dates on it or anything, but it says Old Lady, Mayuwi, Comanche tribe. So this says Horseback, Chief of Noyaka, Comanche Medicine Lodge Treaty Signer, 1888. Chief Horseback was the last elected chief of the Comanche tribe. His Comanche name was Tirha Ya Wa Hip, which translates into horseback. He earned his name for his legendary grace and agility as a horseman. His younger days were filled with raiding and terrorizing white settlers. He led a great raid into Texas in 1864, getting as far as Gainesville, murdering and pillaging towns and villages. Texas Ranger A.J. Sowell admiringly described Chief Horseback at the 1872 battle scene on the Keep Ranch in the Upper Wise County. He made several dashes towards us and was the best rider I ever saw. He was a slim, trim-made Indian about 22 years old. He was mounted on a beautiful blood bay horse with black mane and tail and a star in the face. This chief rode no saddle but had a red blanket strapped around his horse. He could dismount and mount again with his horse in a gallop, displaying an agility that was surprising. He could drop down on the opposite side of his horse as quick as a flash and expose nothing but his hand and foot on the horse going full speed. He wore leggings and fine beaded moccasins. He wore a beautiful beaded ornament on his breast which entirely covered it. He had his scalp lock plaited and a prairie chicken's head tied to the end of it, which hung down to the middle of his back. The chicken's head was painted a deep red. But in later years, Chief Horseback became a man of peace, and on October 21, 1867, he was one of the signers of the Medicine Lodge Treaty. Marlin Otipoby, Corporal in the U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, May 29, 1923 to January 4, 1981. Here we have Hugh C. Otipoby, Private in Company L, 164th Infantry, and he was in World War I, 1895 to 1968. So this is Mac Sizek. He was a Tech 4 in the U.S. Army, World War II. He was born April 16, 1912, and passed away on December 16, 2003. This is Jesse Otipoby, Tech 5 in the United States Army, World War II. March 24th, 1904 to July 4th, 1980. A lot of this Otipoby family in here. There's one right there, Grace Otipoby. And then Terry Lynn right here. Passed away in 1991 and 1978. And this is another Otipoby, Comanche infant daughter of First Lieutenant and Mrs. Lewis Lee Otipoby, July 10th, 1961. This is Mata, May 1928, age 58 years. It looks like there could have been a photo in there at one time or another. This is Marshall Chokofpur Soko, Comanche tribe son of Chief Wild Horse and Tasi Kwan, November 7th, 1918. This is an interesting one here. I always love the ones with photos on them, but this is Dana Chabiti, and December 25th, Christmas Day, 1896 to February 9th, 1989. She served and kept the faith. And you can see her there. So these are interesting right here. We're in a Comanche cemetery, and this says Timmy Roberts, Pawnee Tribe, infant son of V.J. Roberts and Inez Padaconi, died 1938. And another one right here, the infant daughter, Pawnee Tribe right here, died in the same exact year. And then we go back to Quitari, Comanche Tribe, wife of Peninikita, 1863 to 1939. One of the most dominant names in this cemetery is the Adosi. This is Richard, 1913 to 1937. There are several names that are pretty big in here and rather large families, I guess, but this Adosi might be one of the largest that's in here. So this was just a quick little tour of this cemetery. We walked the whole thing, read every name, I think. It's pretty interesting to walk around in cemeteries like this and just look at the history and see how big the families were and how they were related. It's a great thing about these cemeteries here, especially this Comanche one, is it often tells who they were the wife of or the son of, things like that. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.